From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello. Welcome to the Badass Counseling Show. My name is Sven Erlandson. I am the host of this fine show, and it's good to have you here with us wherever you might be checking in from, whether it is Denmark or Deutschland or somewhere down under, all our good folks down under, or on the Asia continent. We love our folks who check in from India. Great to have you here, as well as all of our Canadian friends. Love the Canadians, and especially today the Winnipegians. Winnipegans. Rob?
That's close enough, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what that one is. So if you're from Winnipeg, please let us know, because now I won't be able to sleep. I'll have to know, what do they call themselves? It's like Ohioans. Are they Ohioans?
Ohioans? Yes, Ohioans. Yep.
Ohioans. Okay. Well,
Rochesterians.
Rochester. Get out of here.
That's correct.
It's not Rochesterites.
No, it's Rochesterians.
Wow. I don't know what us folk who are from Minneapolis, if we're Minneapolitans or just Minnesotans, we'd just say, we can't think that much.
We have other names for you, but that'll work.
Oh, fuck yourself. Excuse me. Anyway, I am joined in studio by the fellow you just heard. That is Rob the Rocket, the brains of the entire operation, the engine that keeps this locomotive that coulding. And also by KC over in the booth. She is the creative force behind this entire operation. We simply operate at her behest, and then I'm the meathead of the group that just won't stop talking. So you're stuck with me, though, tonight. Rob, I'm going to let you talk first. We have an interesting guest tonight, interesting little story, and tell us about April, if you would, Rob.
I'll be happy to. I am the little engine. I think I can. But this one was hard for me to read. Let me try my best here. You ready? Mm-hmm. April said, "My mother first sold me to a group of drunk men she brought home from a bar when I was in first grade. The highest bidder getting me first. I learned that nothing about me was good. I've lived in at least 50 different houses that I can remember. I was bounced around from relative to relative each time my mom lost custody. I'm scared of everything and take no risks. I'm 53 now, and it's settling in that I've wasted a lot of life being scared and not brave."
April, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
The pleasure is completely ours, April. What's it like for you hearing that read back? I mean, I know you wrote it, but how does it register? Is it just like flatline?
It's new, kind of like to hear it. I'm just giving a voice to a lot of this stuff that I've just have experienced so long ago that it still kind of settles in my stomach and just kind of forms a ball there that just is hard to sometimes deal with.
Is it a kind of a yucky ball?
Yeah.
And so is this, you say it, I asked how it feels to hear it, and you said, well, it's somewhat new. Does this mean that it's not something that you've done a lot of discussing of in your life, like in therapy or what have you?
Not a lot. I started with a really good therapist here just recently, and he's delving into it with me, but he's kind of like taking it at my pace because I have to process it a lot after we talk about certain things that have happened. And he'll check in with me each time. And so he's awesome. He's been doing a lot of really great work with me, but
Wonderful.
That's just recent. Yeah.
Wonderful. So. And so let me ask you this, kind of a dumb question. You've got a good therapist, which I think is fantastic. That's wonderful, because a lot of people don't. So that's great. Then what the hell are you doing on my show? I mean, I'm happy to have you. I just got to ask.
Well, I just think that I've listened to a lot of your episodes, and you get in there deep and like quickly, and just you ask the questions that really get me thinking a lot. So
fair.
I feel I don't know. It's just something that drew me to it. So
fair enough. Then let's get to work. You said in your opening sentence, "My mother sold me to a group of drunk men she brought home from the bar." So she brought a group home.
Yes.
She didn't bring one guy home. She brought a group home.
There were 5 or 6 of them. She woke me up and made me come in the living room and stand in the middle of the room. I had no idea what was going on.
And so she brought home a group of men from a bar, and is it safe to say you believe that was her intent when bringing them home? Not just when she was home, but in setting it up.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so it was her intent to highest bidder getting me first, which implies, and if at any point in our conversation you want to tap out and just say, hey, too sketchy, feel free. Okay, I have no problems. I don't want you to feel, you came on here knowing I was going to press you hard, but I also...
Yeah, and I want that. So.
Okay, fair. But if it ever gets to be too much, just say, hey, Sven, can we, catch our breath here? Or I don't really want to answer that one. Okay, so if that being said, highest bidder gets you first. That means more than one of the men had you.
All of them.
They all raped you separately. And very sensitive. Not that it matters. Feel free to tap out on this. Was there insertion in each case or not? Was it, you don't have to get into graphics, but was there insertion?
Yeah.
So
yes.
5 men. First grade. First grade usually is 6 years old.
6 years old.
Okay. To the degree that you're able, just do your best. What do you recall feeling?
At first, I remember crying because it hurt so bad. And eventually I remember my brain just checking out, and it felt like I was like not in the room anymore. I was like floating above the room or something.
Yep.
After I asked them to stop several times and they wouldn't, my brain I think it did me a favor and just checked me out of the situation until it was over.
That's exactly what it did. All right. It's a self-protection mechanism, disassociation, the whole thing. Fantastic. I'm glad your brain did what it's programmed to do. Whew. Yeah. After that, whether that night, that week, the next day, a month later, what do you recall after that? Feeling,
the first thing I remember after is my mom came in the room and she got mad at me that there was blood on the sheets and that I wasn't smart enough to lay down a towel first.
Wow. Just I have to ask, at that part of the story, Mom got mad at me. So there was blood on the sheets and I didn't put down a towel first. As you recall that to me now and tell me that and think about that, what does it make you think or feel?
Makes me feel really sad and
what's the saddest part?
Confused.
What's the saddest part?
The fact that she expected me to know what to do. I didn't even know what was happening.
And why is that? I know this is going to sound crazy. Why is that sad?
I think I feel sad for that little girl. As I think of now, I feel sad because I've had a little girl. I have 2 girls, and I just couldn't even imagine them going through that. And I think that just makes me sad for what she had to deal with at the time.
Of course.
And she took that blame on herself a lot. So, and then it just.
And which blame are we talking about that she took that blame on a lot?
That she didn't know what to do. Because my mom made me think that I should know what to do. And so it was a little bit of a shame thing not knowing.
Of course.
What to do.
She was shaming you. She was saying, bad girl, you should have put down a towel. Now, just for a little bit of context here, then you felt shame over the towel incident and being scolded by your mother. It's fascinating that that's the one that sticks and not this, what the actual fuck just happened.
I think that settled in a little bit later.
Right? And how long after did it settle in? Where you sort of like began to see it?
I was in shock for a little while. She made me change her sheets and then she sent me to bed. I think once I sat in the bedroom by myself in the dark, it started settling in and it started saying, I was so confused. I remember being just like, I don't know what happened and what did I do to make it happen?
All right, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. What did you do to make that happen?
Now that I think about it now, nothing.
Nothing. But a child's brain goes there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't know. And what are you feeling right now at the thought that you did nothing?
I feel like, let me see if I can explain this. It's kind of a weight lifted off to hear someone else say, this wasn't your fault. I've carried that guilt around for a long time, just like, and it just seems like I was never able to make my mom happy, no matter how hard I tried along the way. And so it just built on throughout the years. So right now it just makes me feel like kind of relief in a way that just like lightens a load off of me to hear someone say, this isn't your fault at all.
And listen, I'm going to just speak with you very candidly. It's fucking insane. The notion, and you were a child, you didn't know any better. But the notion that there was anything, even the tiniest fleck, that had anything to do with you. Like there's a notion, your girls, how old are your girls, roughly?
They're older. So I have a 21-year-old and she's my other stepdaughter, but she's 33, I think.
And
now.
The notion that when they were 6 or 8 or 12, that they could have possibly done anything that would even remotely cause or justify or anything like that is ludicrous, right?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating when it happens to us. The brain does a different thing, doesn't it? And it's been with you since childhood. Let me ask you, was there ever did mom ever pull anything like that again?
Yeah, several times. It was a kind of a regular occurrence for a while. Not every weekend, but often enough. Whenever she went out, I always remember feeling scared that, who is she going to bring home? Is there going to be somebody that she brings home with her? And she sometimes would and sometimes wouldn't. A lot of times she told me that it was my way to help pay bills, which she never did.
And you can't see Rob and KC right now, but the look of absolute disgust on their faces, absolute disgust, not at you. Zero. The disgust. The listeners, we're live right now on YouTube. Nobody can see you, but they can hear you. And when this podcast goes out as the official placement of it in a few weeks, thousands, tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands are going to hear this story. And I guarantee, as a matter of absolute fact, it will register as disgust and hatred in all or 99.9999% of my listeners. Disgust and hatred for your mother. Absolute contempt. Despicable. Child abuse of any sort is heinous. Child sexual abuse is a different level. This isn't even, there's no category for this.
Yeah.
What are you feeling right now, April?
I don't know. Just, I feel a rush of the memories coming back and a little bit of relief that I know, and I've known the whole, for a long time that I'm not alone, that I'm not the only person that has gone through this. But sometimes it's easy to forget that when you get into the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and just go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just feeling a lot of different emotions. It's like a mix of.
All right. Give me 2 or 3 of them. A little bit of relief. What else?
Like I said, I'm kind of sad for that little girl, the little one.
Of course.
She, until recently, has been ignored until. And then I feel angry at the situation
Angry at the situation.
I just feel angry that I don't have I can't fathom. I can't wrap my mind around the things people do to kids. My kids frustrate me to no end sometimes. Even now that they're all older, I'm like, sometimes I want to
wring their necks, right?
Yeah. But I could never think of anything that they would do that would. I feel bad. My kids all live at home, and I feel bad like having them pay rent $500 a month. And my mom's telling me I have to pay this. This is how I help her pay the bills. And when I was younger, and I just couldn't even imagine. That's my biggest thing. I'm still still trying to wrap my head around this, because I finally let these feelings come. Had been buried them for a long, long time, and it's like I don't understand. That's my biggest thing.
Is that you don't understand?
Yeah, I don't understand how someone could do this.
Okay. You said you buried them for a long, long time.
Yeah.
When did you finally let them up?
So I've been working with this therapist for about 2 years, weekly. And so the last year has really been a purging for me.
Why did you finally allow these to come up after burying them for a long time? Why now?
I have this amazing cousin that she helps me a lot, and she's like, this is the way we feel better, is lightening our load and getting these out. And she's always there. Every time I need to talk, she's very awesome.
Oh, wow.
So she's like, this is how you process it. She's like, it's really hard at first, and then it starts to get easier, and then you'll process something else that's really hard. And it's like a step kind of thing. And it just, each thing comes up and it's hard. And then you're able, once you give it a voice, it loses some of its power.
So you trusted her. You took her advice.
Yeah, I trust her with my life.
But what was the longing inside of you that longed even to consider getting rid of it?
I have lived scared most of my life. And I'm at that point where I'm just tired of being scared of everything. I won't make a decision because I'm worried about someone not liking what I decide. Or
of course.
I won't. I keep all opinions. I avoid confrontation at all costs, and I try and just make people happy. And that's what I've always done.
Yep.
And so I don't have a voice that I've practiced using, and I don't have convictions and as much as I would like. And I just feel like I've wasted a lot of years hiding that, hiding it and keeping it inside.
Let me ask you, how old is your mother?
She's 73.
73. Do you have any relationship with your mother whatsoever?
Yes, I talk to her. It used to be quite infrequently, but recently she's started needing more help because of health issues and stuff. So it's been a lot more. I've been driving her around and stuff to do errands and whatnot.
Okay. And roughly how often would you say you see her?
Probably 3 times a week.
3 times a week.
Yeah.
What was the reason you would only talk to her infrequently before?
Because I didn't ever make the effort to reach out to her.
Why?
Just because every time I did there for a while, I guess I was carrying anger around, and my husband didn't know my story. It took a long time for me to tell my husband my story. And he would say, you're just so mean to your mom all the time. What is all this anger? And I'm like, I wasn't quite ready to open up and tell him. And so I just let her call. When she called, we communicated. I didn't make an effort to reach out or anything.
What made you finally decide to tell your husband?
Working with this therapist, I wrote some letters to the people who have hurt me. A lot of them I didn't know their names, but I just wrote some letters. And then there's another person that come in later in my life and caused some. So I wrote some of those and I read them, and I just decided to let him read them.
Fair. Because
we've been married for 27 years.
Okay.
And I just have started opening up. He's just like, I don't know anything about you, really.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful. Okay. And then just before we go to break, I want to ask you, you said recently you've started seeing her more. She has health issues, but I guess what I'm wondering is, but why are you choosing to do it?
So she's living with my niece, and my niece refuses to help her. And I don't know if there's something in me that just feels obligated or something. I don't know.
Okay.
My husband, he says not to contact her at all. He's like, I don't even know why you speak to her now that he knows about what she's done.
Right.
And I'm like, the family that I grew up in, it's just, it wasn't stable at all. And
Yeah, you think? All right. So we're going to go to a break, April, but before we do, I'm going to ask you a question that you're going to answer after the break. And the question is, what are you still wanting from your mother? And we will be right back after this short break.
I came across the book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, on badasscounseling.com. I was trying to gain some insight into my past experiences and how they're shaping my present. Sick of being miserable all the time, and I wanted to do the work. I didn't know how. Sven's book made it approachable. He had gone through a lot in life, and I liked his perspective. I started looking forward to the new podcasts on Thursdays and Sundays. I realized I wasn't alone, and we can all use a little help from Sven.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We are back with April, a heinous childhood, as worst of the worst. You're in a different category, April, what you endured and survived. And as a person who works with abuse survivors every day of every week, that is easily in the top 5 worst I've ever heard. That's as bad as it gets.
yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you, and maybe the answer is nothing. What are you still wanting from your mother?
I know before I wanted her to say, yes, I did these things and they were wrong. I'm sorry. Now I'm not sure that I'm expecting anything.
You're not answering the question. I didn't say, what are you expecting? I asked, what are you wanting now?
Oh, I'm not sure if I'm wanting anything. I guess I would if she came to me and said sorry. I would accept it, but I'm not expecting anything
understood.
or wanting from her.
Hold on.
Because
why? Go ahead.
Because she will never admit it.
She won't. But let me ask you this. If she came to you, you initially said before, I wanted basically acknowledgement of what she did and the sorry. Now you said you wanted the sorry. Do you want it with the acknowledgement or just the sorry itself? If you could have it your way.
I think if I got to choose acknowledgement or sorry, I probably would choose acknowledgement.
And if you
just
could,
like,
okay,
made a mistake.
Fair enough. That you want, if you had to choose one or the other, it'd be acknowledgement. But if you could have both, you'd take both, I assume.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So then let me ask you this then. If you got that acknowledgement, be honest now, just think on it a second, feel it.
Yeah.
What would you honestly feel? If she acknowledged and she apologized, what would you feel?
I've been thinking about that actually. What would I feel? Because I don't know at this point in my life if it would really repair anything. We've not been close, so I don't know.
What would you feel? Okay, so it wouldn't repair. Not sure if it would even repair anything. And just so you know, that is a very common response when there's been bad stuff in the past. I don't know if it would repair, but it still doesn't answer the question.
Okay.
Give me a feeling word. What would you feel? Because and before you answer, I'm going to set it up this way. I get people who say, my old man, he never said he was proud of me, whatever. And then I graduated from basic training. First time ever in my life, he said, son, I'm proud of you. And I tell you what, Sven, I finally felt like I had reached the mountaintop. It felt so good. I've had others say, my mom was never proud of me, but then when I got that, when I was the head of the legal team at the corporate office, and I had risen up as a woman, she came to me and she said, "I'm proud of you." And my response was, "Fuck you." What I felt was, "Fuck you." Where was your pride 28 years ago when I was 7 and I needed it then? You shove your pride up your ass, Mom. So there can be any number of responses to pride or to apologies or to anything else. What would yours be?
I don't know. I just feel, I think I'm feeling a lot of anger, and I think that is continuing. And I don't know that a sorry would take that anger away right now.
And what are you most angry at your mom for? Above all else, in one sentence or less, what does it all boil down to?
The fact that she didn't let me be a kid. She didn't celebrate me. She put me down like every time she could, with everything that she knew would like eat at me. I was emotional. I was an emotional kid. And when I'd cry, she'd call me names. And
So the stuff you're most angry about isn't even all the rape. It's all the words and all the other stuff where she put you down and she didn't lift you up and celebrate you. She put you down and she deliberately hurt you at what sounds like basically every turn.
Yeah, she didn't encourage me to become me.
Right.
I'm sitting here at 53 years old and thinking, who am I? Because there was no encouragement to like celebrate. I remember one in particular memory. I had won an art contest at school.
Oh.
And I came home and I was like, "Oh, I won this art contest." And she's like, "Why do you think you're better than me?"
Wow.
And so I stopped telling her things like that.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Yeah.
Hey, what a piece of shit. And why do you think you're better than me? Of course you did, because she would hurt you. Is it any wonder you've lived your life scared? Because the person who you claim to love you most hurt you the most. She just kept hurting you. And so the fear is that anyone and everyone could hurt me. And so I got to keep hiding. And yet, this courageous act of a person to finally uncover her story and share it with a therapist, and uncover her story and share it with a cousin and share it with a husband, and now to share it around the world. You ain't hiding, girl. You ain't fucking hiding. Okay, I have to ask the question. I think we're all wondering, who the fuck went to jail for this? Did anybody?
Nobody. There was never anything done about it.
Never anything done. And I'm going to assume, well, of course, your mom wasn't going to say anything because she would have been the first one spending the rest of her life in fucking jail and murdered, shivved in jail. And of course, you had to have been terrified to say anything. You said it until I'm in my 50s, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. No one, never. And so you say you have anger over this, that she didn't let me be a kid. She didn't celebrate me. She put me down. Here's a simple question, and this is a question from the perspective of all of us watching the movie titled April. And we have to sit through it, scene after gruesome scene. And on top of the rapes, then there's just all the put downs and the denigration. And our disgust for your mother grows, our hearts pouring out for this girl as she trudges through 6 years old and 8 years old and 10 years old and 12 years old. How many years did the rapes go on, just out of curiosity?
Probably through 12 or 13 years old. And then I had another situation happen after that with somebody who lived with us. And I think I had even more guilt over this one because I felt like my whole life, I felt like I'm older and why didn't I put a stop to that one?
Was it an adult male? Is that what we're talking about?
It was an adult woman.
Adult woman.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't put a stop to it. And you've felt guilt over that. 12 or 13 years old. Just out of curiosity. when either one or both your daughters were 12, would they have had the mental wherewithal or the physical wherewithal to fight off a grown woman?
No.
No, not at all.
I didn't see that. Just like the fact that I was older. That was my whole like thought process. I was older and I should have been able to stand up for myself, but now I've learned, I kind of feel like I was already too broken to even like know that I deserve to be stood up for.
Right. Right. And even if you had known that, even if you were a fully fit and healthy, athletic girl who lifted weights at age 12, you would have been no match for an adult. Their ability to be cunning and trick you, but also their power of even a woman's power to physically overpower you and scare you, you didn't stand a chance. And so you felt guilt over that, as well as the roughly 6 or 7 years of the people that your mother brought into the house, the men that your mother brought into the house. So from the perspective of those of us listening to your story and experiencing secondhand your story, I'm going to be very, very, very honest with you. I hate your mother. Absolute hatred. Absolute unequivocal hatred. Now, I don't think this is much of a stretch to say that I absolutely and unequivocally hate your mother. Hatred. Like, I rarely, at this level, I mean, this is just, it's beyond disgusting. It's the worst, the most vile. I hate your mother. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little curious. Do you?
Yes, I think I do. And I've noticed that more as I've been doing things for her. I had to take her into the hospital and sit with her while she was in the ER. And I hated every minute of it. It just made me feel so like angry. And like, I don't know if it was anger or if it was just anxiety. I don't know. It was just a mixture of a lot of bad stuff. And I don't know why that set it off that it happened at the hospital. But I hated sitting there. My cousin suggested that maybe it was because I had always taken care of her. She refused to take care of me when I was little. And then I was having to help take care of her. And so that kind of made a lot of sense to me. But
yeah. And it's not even just that she refused to take care of you. Take care of you is like a second or third step. First step is just fucking protect me. But not only did she not protect me, protect implies, oh, there's a big scary, person on the street and they're gonna, hit my little girl, and she's stopping it with her own body. She literally put you out in front of the scary monsters time and time and time and time and time again. She not only didn't protect you, she put you in harm's way. She didn't put you even in harm's way. She created harm for money for her. That is, I'm out of words here. This is beyond revolting. This is just the lowest of all species. So for you to not enjoy being with her company, for you to be angry, of course, it has nothing to do with hospital. Maybe, whatever, but no, it's everywhere. It's seeing her face. It's hearing her voice. It's you despicable piece of shit human being. If I were in her company, and I'm generally a forgiving guy, but no, she's not even seeking forgiveness. She's not even conceding she did anything wrong. And I just have to ask, if someone on the street had a microphone and walked up to her and said, ma'am, were you a good mother? What would she answer?
She would say yes.
Oh, how?
She told me that the other day.
Wow.
She said, at least you had a good mom.
That's what she told me. Wow. As if you should be grateful or some shit.
Yeah.
And so then that brings me back to my question. Because every one of us is thinking, why the hell are you still interacting with your mom? We're sort of, thinking like your husband, but it's okay. There's no judgment with that. There's no judgment, but it does lead me to the question that I've already asked you, and it's simply this. So what is it, regardless of the likelihood of it ever happening, what truly is it that you're still wanting from your mother? Because you keep going back. Every day or 3 days a week, what is it you're still wanting? If you were to really boil it down, What are you still wanting?
I think I want her to realize that what she did. I want her to, this is going to sound terrible. I kind of want her to suffer and feel the feelings that I felt.
Hell yes. That doesn't sound terrible at all. I think we all want that. I want that. Suffer, realize it, and suffer the feelings that you've had to feel. Let me ask you this then. If that happened, and it's not realize, she knows, it's in there. You want her to not just realize it, but basically be forced to face it.
Yeah.
Safe to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then if she were forced to face it and suffer the feelings, then what? For you, then what? If you got that, because you changed your mind. Originally it was acknowledgement and sorrow. Now it's I want her to be forced to face it and suffer the feelings. Then what for you? Then what?
And then I think I don't know. I want to cut ties. I don't know how to do it.
That's fair. Let's pause on the cut ties. I want to come back to that. Okay. If she were forced to face it and she had to suffer the feelings, what would that give you? Or what would you feel then? Because you said, I asked you, what do you still want? You could say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of justice, I think.
Justice.
A little bit of, I don't know, acknowledgement of the pain that I've had to deal with for 53 years.
And when you say acknowledgement of the pain, would you be wanting her to acknowledge it to you, or she would?
I want her to just feel I just want her to feel it and acknowledge that, what she did was crappy.
Okay. So then, if you had to choose then, her experiencing the pain or her acknowledging it, if you had to pick one or the other, which is it you're wanting most?
Experiencing it. I want her to experience.
And then you would feel what?
Justified.
All right.
Vindicated.
Sure. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
If you felt vindicated, and actually if you got the acknowledgement of the pain, then what? Then what would happen inside of you?
I think that I could, even if she didn't ask for forgiveness, I could forgive her part of my pain and then move on with my life and start living my life for me rather than living in this pool of just constant reminding. I think I would be able to move on.
And move on and live my life for me. So then what's your fun and not live in this pool of stuff?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm in a suffocating pool of stuff that I can't move out of. I just don't know how to yet.
Right. And the truth is, innately, you actually already do, because you've begun that process a few years ago when you decided, with the help of your husband, with the help of your cousin, with the help of this wonderful therapist, you're actually doing it. You're actually literally in the process. And the courage to bring it up and start talking about it and flushing it out, that's the massively courageous act. So you're actually doing it. Okay. But what's fascinating to me is if she acknowledged pain, then I could forgive her for her part. And I said, well, then what? And you said, then I could start living my life for me, which implies I can't live my life for me until, I forgive her, or which requires her acknowledging what she did. Now, let me ask you this. So in other words, if I can't start living my life yet until I get that, what you're saying is if I don't get that, I can't start living my life for me.
Yeah. And that's the part I want to change so that I don't want to have to need that acknowledgement from her. I want to be able to just live my life for me.
Yeah.
I want to move past this intense anger at times I feel for her.
Right.
I don't want to carry it around because really it doesn't hurt her.
That's right.
The anger is only affecting me.
Right.
and the people that I care about.
Right. But on the other hand, you have to allow all of that anger up and the rage. And as I'm saying, hatred, I believe. Let me ask you, do you hate your mom? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. What percent?
90.
Ooh. So there's a 10% that doesn't? Or are you just being nice?
I think that there's part of me that still thinks it's a teeny part, maybe 95%, because she I don't know. She got me away from my dad.
he was worse?
I don't know. She fed me for
fair.
Everything I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
He fully didn't do. I'm making excuses for her.
Isn't that interesting? And why are you making excuses? Why are you protecting her?
Because she was the only one I had to rely on when I was little. My dad was in the picture, but he only came around every 2 or 3 years with, like, at a birthday time with a big gift. And
what a piece of shit he was that he didn't protect you from her. You know, the story is she protected you from him. No, she didn't. No, she did. Whatever he was doing, I'm of the belief it maybe wasn't that bad. Reasonable? Is that reasonable to assume that he wasn't bringing home strangers to rapists? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the story she protected you from him is a bullshit story.
Yeah, and I think she drove a wedge between us, like, too.
For sure.
I didn't like him, and there was no real reason that I knew of. It was all just information she fed me.
Right, exactly. And so I want to go back to this thing, though. Then I could start living my life for me. If she acknowledged pain, then I can have my life. So in other words, she still owns you.
Yes.
You okay with that?
No.
No. And the truth is, the only thing that is causing you to believe you need acknowledgement from her before you can live your life is the bullshit you were conditioned to believe about yourself. And the bullshit is that I own you, little girl. She doesn't. She never did. She did everything wrong. The truth is, it's like, you've heard me say it before, perhaps on the show, it's like you're in a jail cell and you believe that she has the key and only she has the key, when in fact the key is in your own pocket. And the freedom is you, as you have already been doing. You have to allow the true feelings, the fears, and the bullshit beliefs you were taught about yourself to finally come to the top. And if you were to distill down to one sentence, as best you can, what you were truly taught to believe about yourself, what would it be in one sentence?
That I was only worth what I could do for her. That I was there as an instrument to make her life better.
Right.
She was driven by money a lot, and she would go out and come home, and when I was little, I would get scared because, I don't know, they teach us in school that alcohol will kill you. And so when she'd go to the bar, I would get on my bike, and we lived a couple blocks off of Main Street. I would ride it up back and forth, like from midnight to 2:00 in the morning to make sure she was going to come home, and so I wasn't alone.
Does that make you feel sad?
And then she'd come home and I would cook her some kind of food.
Oh, man.
And then she'd pass out. When she didn't bring people home, I'd cook her food and she'd pass out. And I would sit beside her bed and watch her breathe so she wouldn't die.
Oh, you poor thing. That little girl didn't want to be alone. And she wanted mommy to come home But if mommy came home, that had its own dangers.
Yeah.
And when mommy came home, you just wanted to cook for her, as if to say, thank you for coming home, mommy. Let me take care of you. It's so beautiful. The spirit of that little girl is so beautiful. She's just saying, come be home with me, mommy, and don't die. Please don't die, mommy. Please don't die. I don't want to be alone. Please. Have you felt alone your whole life?
Yeah. Even in a room full of people, I've often have that lonely, like alone feeling, like I don't quite fit in. At my house, I have like 9 people that live in my house currently, all of my kids and my husband and I. And I'll be in a room full of them and they'll all be talking because my husband comes from a loud family. They're very loud and
I hear you.
chatty. And I still feel like I'm the only one. I'm sitting there alone.
When do you not feel alone?
I think I do best if I'm a one-on-one with somebody. I hang out with my cousin, helps me a lot.
Beautiful.
Not feel alone.
Beautiful.
She's always there whenever I need, even to chat. She'll text me and I know that she's gotten up in the middle of the night to text me. And so when I'm with her, I don't feel that way.
I love that. I love that. I want to ask you, or I note, you said, I asked you what was the belief you were taught to believe about yourself, and you said, I was only worth what I could do for her. It's really no wonder then that you're still serving her, even though you hate it and you feel so much anger. You're still doing it. Why? Because when you're serving her, if I only have worth when I'm doing things for her, then even now at 53, you're trying to confirm your worth by doing things for her.
Yeah.
And might there be a piece of that there?
Yeah, I think so.
And
I've never thought about it that way, but
yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
That little girl is still wanting mommy to say thank you for all you're doing for me. You're a good girl. I love you so much. I'm sorry for what I did. Boy, you're a good girl. You're still wanting that. What do you think it would take? And maybe you don't know, but that's okay. What do you think it would take to finally let go of wanting that or needing that?
Finding my own confidence, I think, would be a big part of it.
Do you have worth? Do you have worth outside of what you do for your mom and outside of what you do for other people? Is there good about you, just who you are?
I've never believed that there was. Recently, with the help of the people around me, the couple of people, they're helping me see more of it, but it's still really hard for me to say, you know what, that was awesome.
What percent about you, what percent of you do you love?
30.
30? I love that number. I love that. That's beautiful. And I'm betting that's up from...
Yeah, it's the last year has come up
in 1 year, you've gone from basically like what?
Nothing.
0 or 1?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To 30.
Yeah.
Right.
I can look and see some good things now.
What's the best part about you? What is the best part about you? Other than you're pretty and you're very sweet, what is the best part about you?
I think the best part about me right now is the fact that I'm seeing new things that I want to try. I'm opening my eyes to things. My therapist plays drums and he uses music therapy and I've always wanted to play drums, but when I was little, I was like scared. And I just recently got a set of old drums.
Yay.
And so I'm having him teach me some. So that's like for me to try something in front of somebody else I haven't done before that I know that I can do is like a big thing. And so we played some little electronic drums in his office and just seeing the growth is probably
that's the thing you love the most about yourself is your growth.
That I'm actually seeing something that I want and like trying it.
Seeing something you want and trying, seeing and trying. That's a sign of you opening your spirit. You opening yourself and saying, and that little spirit is sending up and saying, hey, let's try drums. And that's where it starts.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. Yeah. Well, I hope you'll stick around for a couple minutes after the show. April, you blew all of our minds today. And we are all in awe of the massive strength. You are an extraordinarily powerful woman.
Thank you.
because it didn't destroy you. The spirit, that spirit was so this ball of fire that says, we will live. We, me, us, I will live. And here you are. And now the strength is saying it's time to crack that ball open. We've created, you have created safety for yourself, and I am now ready to let the authentic me out. It is safe now. And I have one last question.
Okay.
If there were one sentence you most, and you don't, and there's no pressure to ever do it, one sentence you most want to say to your mother, what is it?
Fuck you for
Fuck
what
yeah!
you did to me.
Yes! I love that answer. Say it again. I was too excited over you. Say it again.
Fuck you for doing what you've done to me.
God bless you.
Yeah, thanks.
Fuck you for doing what you did to me. And we are all around from Denmark to South Africa to Perth to Japan, Okinawa. We are all shouting a massive fuck her right there with you. You got the whole choir behind you, April. I love that. Oh, you're the best. You're the best. Stick around for a little bit. April, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You bet. And on behalf of April and Rob the Rocket and Casey, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.